I mean, you're not safe no matter what because they're like
Right.
track stars and that, you know?
Right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to our podcast. We're at Two Guys, One Mug, where my name is Victor. It's my friend
And my
Mario.
name is
You can tell them your name, Mario.
it's Mario.
So, this is actually our first episode, which is actually kind of cool, but we've known each other since we were in like 7th grade.
13, 14.
Yeah, so that's a long time ago. I won't tell you how old I am now, but we wanted to start a podcast. We've been wanting to do this for a long time. Finally, with COVID, working remote, it kind of happened. And our very first episode, it lands in October. It's going to be a Halloween special. What are we going to be covering today, Mario?
We're going to be covering our top 10 scary movies. And I can actually go ahead and start off. There's a couple things that I did right here. So my first one, and don't you laugh, is A Quiet Place. But the reason why I think it's scary, one, I think the more older that I get, the more creepier I get out that aliens may be real. And that's exactly what this freaking movie is about is aliens basically come on an asteroid and land on this place, and it's a quiet place. Second reason why I was terrified of the movie is just because I have kids of my own, and we would be effed because my kids are insane. And
If it was specifically like quiet, if you had to be quiet.
I mean, well, that's
Not
basically
so
what
much
the
the
movie is
aliens.
about.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah,
like, you're not talking,
nah,
because like War of the
nah.
Worlds, aliens come and invade. But you're talking the aspect of it being quiet, if it was that kind of aliens.
Oh yeah, we'd be effed. And I mean, have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, any noise that anybody makes, those things just come out of nowhere and basically beat the hell out of you. So we'd be effed from the very beginning. Day one, we'd be dead.
Yeah.
So my 9, and this one actually I watched a couple of weeks ago. It is called 28 Weeks Later.
Okay, so this is the one with
And
Jeremy Renner, not 28 Days Later, right?
yeah, it is. I
The
believe
first
he's
one,
what?
the first one is
The first
Cillian
one's with
Murphy.
yeah. So this is the second one, I believe. Yeah. So definitely one of my number 9. Zombies are insane. If they were more like The Walking Dead or what other zombie movies are there? If they were more like
World War
Walking Dead,
Z.
yeah, World War Z. You know, they're not. They don't run like
Right.
crazy at you and that. And that one thing that kind of creeped me out too is because, I mean, you're not safe no matter what because they're
Right.
like track stars and that. You know.
Right.
So my number 8, and I remember watching it at your place, but I watched it prior, whenever I was 5 years old, and this is that I can remember the first
5
scary movie
years
that I've
old.
ever felt. Yeah. So this was me. No, not with you. I'll tell you which one it is, and
No, but
let
you
me
said
know
you
if
watched it at my
remember.
place.
Oh yeah. No. So the first time or the second time I watched it was at your place.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to think, because when you said 5 years old, I'm like, it's got to be an olderish movie. So now I'm thinking like it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking something that might have come out more in the 90s. Is like
A little bit earlier than that.
okay.
Ed Gein maybe.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 1974 version, and I remember whenever I was 5 years old, I was with my dad, and he allowed us to always watch those movies. Like he did not care whatsoever. And I remember the first scene, like, or not the first scene, but like halfway into it, like the guy in the wheelchair, like couldn't defend himself or nothing, and this guy with this face mask ended up chasing him and almost butchered him. And that, and I remember I was so scared. But I don't know. Do you remember us watching at your place or no?
Yeah, I vaguely remember because I've seen the movie.
Yeah, and I remember I was telling you like how creepy it was, and we ended up renting it, and then we slept, I believe, in your kitchen.
Yeah, it was in
And
the
we had,
kitchen.
like,
I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that brings back.
For
some
some
old
reason, I
memories.
thought I watched it by myself because when you said Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I was like, oh, I remember watching it in my kitchen, and I thought I was by myself, but you must have been there.
I
Then.
I think it was me, you, Edmundo, and Timmy, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It was good. All right. So number 7, and I love this movie, and I actually seen it recently, and it's not like as bad because I feel whenever I watch older movies and then I watch them now, they're horrible. But this one was still good, and it was House on Haunted Hill, and it was the 1999 version.
Yep.
Do you remember that one or no?
Yeah. Yep. I know.
Yeah, where they kind of like get invited to
they go to
the
some
mansion.
some mansion up. Yeah.
Yeah, the mansion or whatever. They end up getting trapped in there, and I think
It's
if
like
you're
the house
able to
is
make it
alive or
out,
something.
yeah. And I specifically remember
You
this
win like
one
$1 million
scene.
or something.
Yeah, if you're able to survive the night, you win $1 million, but they don't know what's going on. And I remember specifically, and this is why I got a little nervous about this movie, and I didn't like it. I remember I was in 6th grade whenever I was watching this, and I shut it off. That's how scared I was about this movie. And it's where this woman, she's like down in the basement, I believe, and she has this old video cassette player, and she starts recording, and she records one of the rooms, and there's like these like 1900 nurses kind of like doing surgery on this guy, and they kind of like look at her like this, and she like puts the
Oh
camera down,
shoot.
and she's like, "What the
There's
hell?"
no. Hmm.
Do you remember that part or
So
no?
I remember seeing the movie, and I remember when I first watched it, it freaked me out when I was younger. Like I remember it was like I was scared of it,
Yeah, I
but
shut
I
it off.
don't think I've seen it since. So a lot of the scenes are. It's one of that I think I have to rewatch again. It's been a long
Oh
time.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's a good movie. I highly recommend it. All right, so my number 6, and I always have trouble pronouncing this name. Maybe you can help me. It's Midsummer.
Midsummer, yeah.
Is it
I
Midsummer?
mean, I don't know what it's
I don't know.
pronounced in
People,
the
yeah, people have
Swedish or
pronounced
whatever
it.
language.
Yeah, people have pronounced it multiple times, but I think the reason why I think this is actually my top 6 is because I feel like the movie was well played out, and I feel like that thing could possibly be real, and I'm pretty sure stuff like that has happened. You know, like maybe not to that degree, but I feel like there's a lot of cults out there that we don't realize.
Right.
And I'm not a what is that, conspiracy theorist, but I feel like there's some
Well, what was interesting about
crazy
that
people
movie to
out there.
me was it was almost all of it was in daylight. There was almost very
Yeah,
as soon as they arrived there, there's like because it was like part of the solstice or something. There was no nighttime, so it's like a horror movie that's shot primarily in the day, and
yeah.
it's actually a celebration of life. Like what they're celebrating is like life and rebirth, but it's like in a terrifying way.
So my number 5, sorry about that, is Insidious.
Hmm.
And Insidious, I believe the reason why I enjoyed that movie so much, and not only enjoyed it, but got a little scared about it, is it's um this kid is put like in a different reality. You know what I mean? He ends up falling, I believe, like in a deep sleep,
Yeah, he was
and
like
he's
almost
like
like astral
trapped.
projecting
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
He gets trapped into this place, this like other dimension, I believe it is, with this creature, and the mother and the or is it the dad tries to like go in and save him, and then the whole movie is like really creepy. Like I remember watching it at night, I was like, man, this is like an uneasy movie because I feel like stuff like that can happen also. It's not.
Right.
So my number 4, and this is gonna go back old school also, is The Exorcist. The first one that I could remember.
73
Yeah,
Exorcist.
and I remember I was terrified of this movie because not only was I Catholic at the time, I believed in a lot of that stuff because I believe a lot of Catholics believe in like the what is that called, the exorcism, and then I've actually heard stories of people like doing exorcism
Well, I mean,
on people in that.
I think one of the taglines of the movie was if you believe in God, then you have to believe in the devil.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Number 3 is the one that you actually mentioned, is The Conjuring. And that movie, I feel like the reason why it creeped me out so much is because it had like a little built up at the end. It wasn't like jump scare after jump scare after jump
Right.
scare. It had a really good storyline, and then it started like periodically getting a little bit more scarier and scarier and
Yeah,
scarier.
they had tension throughout the movie. It's like a quick jump
Yeah,
scare here, and then they would build
yeah,
it, and then another quick one there, and it just kept building till everything breaks loose at the very end.
yeah. I don't remember if you knew the what is it, that scene where I think the mother's praying on the couch and the two daughters are sleeping in the room, and they have a camera angle where it's like they're at their heads kind of pointing to the feet, and
Right, and
there's like
at the
that
top of the
lady up.
cupboard, yeah,
Yeah, and she like jumps down. I remember, like, I don't ever jump, but I remember I kind of like
yeah.
jumped a little. I was like, man, dude, there's no way. My number 2, I think, is probably my favorite on the list. I'm just to mention, in or not Insidious, Sinister,
Yeah,
with
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke.
And I would honestly say, like, that's my personal, it's not my scariest movie, and this is what this is it's probably one of my favorite scary movies of like all time.
Before we get to your number one, what are your honorable mentions?
Yes, my honorable mentions. The first one's going to be The Descent. I love that movie. I felt like it had really good casting, and also, um, I'm very claustrophobic. I don't even like going in an elevator, and just with that in general, being in a cave with these creatures would not be good.
Okay.
Second one is Hills Have Eyes. I don't remember if you
Yeah.
remember that movie.
Yeah, bro. I've seen all
That
these.
yeah, that's creepy just because it's like you got these guys that are mutated and brutally freaking beating the
Right.
heck out of people. Third one is uh the Nightmare on Elm Street, and I would say any one of those just because I mean you have to sleep, and this
More of the
guy's
idea
basically
of yeah.
yeah, the idea of it exactly. The Ring was really good,
Yeah.
and then also it the old one. I
Right.
personally like that one also.
The Tim Burton. Oh, not
Yeah,
Tim Burton. The
yeah, it was Tim Burton, wasn't it? He
no.
was it.
No.
Oh, it
What's
was
his name?
what is his
I
name?
said Tim Burton, but Tim Burton's the
Yeah,
director.
that's yeah,
Not
yeah.
of the movie, but
Oh, what's
oh
his
my gosh,
name?
it's gonna
No, if I'm looking this
yeah.
up.
Um, Tim Curry.
Yeah, there you go. So my number one, and I love this movie a lot, and it is Hereditary. I personally feel like, and like I said, people may disagree or agree. I've heard a lot of good things about this, but Hereditary was a different kind of scariness, and I know all these other ones could happen, but I feel like this one would happen out of the most out of all these. Like, there's basically the grandma was like a cult leader, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and that had to do a lot with religion and just it was creepy throughout the whole movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah, there's a lot that I can say about that one because there's the being in a cult in a movie isn't necessarily new. Like what's Paranormal Activity? Like
yeah,
the third
Paranormal
or the fourth
Activity.
one they did it, and then there's the one with um, like the plagues, the harvesting
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
with Hilary Swank, the harvest or the something like that.
Yeah, it sounds
She goes
familiar.
to a place where there's a bunch of plagues happening, and she's more of on the science side trying to explain it, but the people there, like the locals, are saying this is more of like
Yeah,
devil, and that ends up being I mean, I'm gonna spoil it. That ends up being a cult-like movie. Same thing with The Wicker Man. The Wicker Man with
oh
Nicolas
yeah,
Cage, and
that
then
was a
even the
good one.
older Wicker
That was
Man.
a
You
good
go
one.
on the island, and you find out there's just this cult of people.
Yeah,
So the cult genre isn't necessarily new, but I agree there was something about Hereditary though that it brought it into like just a crazy new light.
definitely creepy.
Yeah, the movie I was thinking of is called The Reaping. That's what it's
The
called.
Reaping. Oh yeah, Reaping. I
It's
remember that.
with Hilary Swank. Coming in at my number 10, I have The Babadook.
Oh, I've
So
never
The
seen that
Babadook,
one.
2014, Essie Davis. Pretty much the story about a mother going. All of these are spoilers, by the way. This is a mother going through grief. She lost her husband. She's a single mother, and it's her trying to balance her life with work, trying to balance her life with a kid who is just kind of rowdy. And you can't blame the kid. He's growing up without a father, and all of this starts to just eat at her mentally. Like mentally, she is just snapping. Like she is slowly. It's a slow grind. You start to see her more mentally disconnecting, and her kid starts to see that, and that is portrayed as this monster in the house called the Babadook, and it's coming in and it's gonna get you. As a matter of fact,
Is that yeah? Is that the book that you end up buying?
yeah. So as a
Before I
matter
said-
of
oh,
fact,
I do remember that. I do remember.
for
Yeah,
those
there it
people
is.
who have seen the
I do
movie,
remember it. I do remember
they
that.
they did a special release of the
I remember that.
the
Yeah.
pop-up Babadook book that's actually shown in the movie. And after the movie came out, they did a quick 30-day or something sale. You could actually purchase and order the book. It took about almost 2 years, but I ended up getting my copy signed by the author, by the director of the movie. So
That was what 2013, 2014.
yeah.
I believe.
At my number 9, I have The Orphanage. So this is
Oh, that's a good
2007,
one.
The Orphanage. It's a Spanish movie called El Orfanato.
I do remember that. Yeah.
I don't remember the director, but I know the movie was help funded and produced by Guillermo del Toro, which had some backing, but just essentially a movie taking place at an orphanage about a kid who disappears. Some Peter Pan and Wendy type of themes in that movie, and I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil that one necessarily,
Good movie. It's
but
a good movie. I
if
do
you
remember
haven't
that.
seen it, I'd go watch The Orphanage.
I do remember that. Yes.
So at number 8, I have 2012. This is on your list. I have Sinister. So
Sinister.
same
It should
thing.
be up there.
part
Should
of
be up there.
part of it is just It was iconic when it came out. It's among the scariest movies that had come out, and also just a personal. I remember when I went to go watch it at the movies. It was terrifying to watch. So, Sinister holds a special
Dude, I remember. Yeah,
place.
it's good. So I forgot to add. I remember if I did watch that movie, we had a friend come with us, and she does not like scary movies at all. And I remember she was so scared. I think we were only like 20 minutes in, and she ended up walking out, dude. She
Yeah,
left. That's how creepy it was.
yeah. I
Like,
mean,
damn,
it's a creepy movie if you've never seen it. Even creepier to watch in the dark. At my number 7, I have 2005. You mentioned this one on your honorable mentions. This is The Descent.
does it send? Yes.
Yeah. So a group of girls get together. They go out on a hike. They end up exploring some caves, and in the caves they run into some monsters that they didn't expect to find there, and it's just a gruesome, grueling, intense survival essentially movie of them
Oh yeah,
trying to
and
make their way out of it.
yeah, and the main character is phenomenal in that movie. I
Yeah,
like
that
it.
was that was
I
a good
like what they
movie.
did with it.
Yeah. So that came in at number 7 for me. At number 6 for me, this is another movie that I can just watch every year. Like some of these movies I can only watch maybe every once in a while, but this I watch probably every year. It is 2017's Gerald's Game. So Gerald's Game.
Oh, is that
is
the one where the guy, like him and his wife, kind of go out to the forest
Yeah,
in
well
the
they go
cabin?
out to a kind of a house
Oh, I was
secluded
just talking about this movie.
to to try to reignite the passion of their marriage.
Marriage.
And if you don't know Gerald's Game, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but you're going to see this in the trailer regardless. They go out to have some intimate time together. In the middle of that intimate time, they bring out the handcuffs. She gets handcuffed to the bed, and the guy ends up suffering a heart attack. And it's essentially a story of her trying to survive, being tied to a bed. She cannot break through it. And what is she going to do to try to
It's
make
like
it
a
out of there alive? So at number 5, not a crazy old movie, early 2000s, but another one that has stuck with me is Nicole Kidman, The Others. So
Oh,
this is a story about a mother who lives alone with her 2 kids. Her husband had gone off to war. This was World War One.
I think
No, the
I
World
think
War
it was
Two.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
World War II, I believe.
So he had gone off, and it's her trying to hold her family together in place.
like
Her son has
demons or
some
spirits.
special challenges, and they essentially invite a group of people to come in and help them take care of the house. It's a giant house, and some creepy things start happening. They start seeing
Yeah.
some ghosts, some apparitions. Another movie that I don't want to spoil, but it great twist, scary movie, but just a good story. At number 4, this one is just a personal favorite movie of mine. This is 2015's Robert Eggers' The Witch. So The Witch
Oh.
introduced us to Anya Taylor-Joy. I mean, she was like 12 or 13 at the time, and she has now gone
I like
on.
her.
She is essentially one of the top 5 probably actresses right now. I mean, she's in everything. I love the movie. It's awesome. I have one of my Funko Pop toys is Black Phillip from the movie The Evil Goat. So The Witch at number 4. It almost made my top 3, but it was a personal movie, so I left it outside of my top 3. But
Good choice.
at number 3, 2013's The Conjuring. So same
Oh,
thing.
Yeah. Conjuring's good.
While,
Conjuring's really good.
While I think Insidious started that cinematic universe of the Conjuring movies with Ed and Lorraine Warren, I really think The Conjuring is what took it more mainstream.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 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 for sure.
Insidious was awesome and it was talked about, but I don't know that it had the viewership that The Conjuring ended
Yeah,
up
the Conjuring.
getting.
And yeah, and like you were saying, I believe that's what Insidious came from. You know, like oh yeah, that movie was good, and then after the Conjuring kind of comes in, just like more viewers, and even like with what is it oh my gosh, Insidious. Like how many Insidious do they have right now? Like I
Like
believe 5, like 4 or 5.
5, yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen every single one of them, and they're very, very good. And I believe the viewership is there also.
Yeah.
And
At my number 2, I had a hard time fumbling the top 2
same here.
because I mean I could alternate really between these two, but at my number 2, 1973, Linda Blair, The Exorcist. So
The Exorcist. Yeah.
same thing. This movie I probably watch once a year. I probably watch clips from the movie every other week. I go through YouTube and I just put
Damn.
on clips from the movie. There are scenes like when the drawer opens
Yeah.
and Father Damien Kara, he's just like, do it again. He's like, and the demon's like, in time. Like, no, do it now. In time. And he's just like, he's like, he's like, unloosen these straps. He's like, if you're the devil, why don't you loosen them yourself? He's like, that's a much too vulgar display of power, Karis. Like I know so much from that movie because it's so iconic. It's
Oh yeah,
good.
it's a good movie.
I've seen clips of when people went to watch it at the movies at the time in the 70s, and it was like nothing they had ever seen before.
Yeah.
People were walking out of there like sick to their stomach,
Non-stop, yeah.
just like you just felt so wrong, so like dirty. Like it was a movie that I wish I would have been alive when that first came out.
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
have been around the hysteria for that movie.
All right, before we get to the top one, Victor, what are your 5 honorable mentions?
My first honorable mention is The Crazies. I don't remember the year that The Crazies came out, but it's Timothy Olyphant.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Bro, that's such
Crazies?
yeah, it's such an entertaining movie. Another one of my honorable mentions, and this one's just more same thing because of how iconic it was at the time, is Scream. So
Oh, yeah, Scream.
the original Scream, Neve Campbell, Billy Loomis, right? The part of the slasher genre. It was one of the later slasher films, one of the more recent, like when we were teenagers, but it was so iconic. It introduced us to the Ghostface mask, Ghostface killer.
Yeah.
And
I
I remember
that for Halloween.
yeah, for
one
Halloween,
year.
everyone tried to rock the Ghostface
Good,
mask.
good.
The
Yeah, I
movies are
remember
still
that.
going on. Another one of my honorable mentions is Train to Busan. So Train to Busan, it's a Korean film. It's
The zombie one?
I had to bring in the zombie movies.
Good.
So it's
Good,
essentially
good,
there's a
good.
zombie outbreak. These people are on a train, and it's them trying to fight off a horde of zombies, come in and out of the train, trying to find survivors, and trying to avoid containment. So Train to Busan is one of my honorable mentions. Next on my list, and probably is on the top 10 of a lot of people's favorite like horror movies, is the original, I believe, 79 Alien. So
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that
so
franchise.
Ellen Ripley, it was in space. It was one of those first space movies. It was one alien, one xenomorph, and it was just Ridley Scott's masterpiece. Like that was an awesome movie. And then my last one in my honorable mentions is Event Horizon. So Lawrence Fishburne, oh my gosh, the guy who plays Draco Malfoy's dad, Jonathan Isaac. Yeah, so Event Horizon is on my honorable mentions. Probably also deserves a spot in my top 10. I had a hard time leaving Event Horizon out. It's another one that I recommend when people say, I want to watch a scary movie. I'm like, go watch Event Horizon in the dark. That's a scary movie. And at number 1, I have Hereditary. So
yes.
Hereditary
You can't beat Hereditary, bro. You can't beat Hereditary.
Ari Aster's debut movie. It was, and the reason why I think there are movies that do jump scares better. I think there are movies that do cult stuff. I think there are movies that do possession, that do a lot of the things that Hereditary does. But there aren't a lot of movies that, when I walked out of the movie theater, on the drive home, I was just uneasy. I was just like,
it feels weird,
almost like,
it?
What did I just watch? Like, it was like inside of my skin. Like, it made me so uncomfortable that it just stuck with me for like days. I remember after the movie theater, like 4 or 5 days later, I was barely starting to come back to light. I was like, oh,
yeah, bro. I normally sleep naked, but I'm like, nah, F that.
Yeah. When I watched it at the movies, the scene that as soon as the scene happened, I knew, I was like, holy crap, like, what the heck am I watching now? Is when the little girl sticks her head out the car door and she just goes ram right into that post. And I'm just like
it was weird though.
Like, what the hell? Like, did that just happen? And then the acting right after that, where the kid refuses to look, he doesn't even look in the rearview mirror. He just like face forward. Maybe if I drive home.
This is a dream.
This is a dream. This didn't just happen. But but it's one of those things where deep down inside, you know it happened. Okay, so that was our episode of our top 10 personal / favorite horror movies of all time. Let us know in the comments what you think of the list. Did we leave anything out? Something that you thought for sure should have been there? Perhaps we haven't watched it yet. So if you have any suggestions, let us know and we'll go check it out. And also, if we introduce you to a new movie, go watch it and let us know what you think about it. Like we put a list of like 20, 30 movies. We had a little bit of overlap here and there on some movies, but if you're thinking about movies to watch for Halloween, go ahead and pick any of the ones that we suggested. It'll be a good watch.
Yep. Thank you so much for tuning in, and subscribe to our channel, our Twitter, and also our TikTok.
Everything on our social media at 2guys1mug. We didn't bring the mug in the video. We'll bring it next time.
I got my mug.
I mean, mine's back here.
My Attack on Titan.
Next time
I'll
next time I'll drink out of it and we'll have a spicier episode.
All
I'll catch you guys next time though.
Bye.